you. Good afternoon, Gareth.
Hi.
Feels fitting we should start with a reflection on the transfer window. Do you kind of subscribe to the assessment that of all the WSL clubs, you probably had the best window, given you managed to get 3 in through the door?
Depends what you describe as the best. I think, we had a couple of players obviously left in Julie and Dana, which I think was probably right for them. And then obviously we had the unfortunate news regarding Jill. So we had to kind of act quite quickly. I think, Laura's a good player, there's no doubt about that, and we're really pleased that we've got her. But of course, trying to replace Jill is very, very difficult. I think she probably is unreplaceable. So, and we need to give Laura time as well. She's a young player. She's got decent experience at Villa. But we've seen good things in her that we feel that we can really push her and squeeze more out of and really see a bright future for her. But it's going to take time. So the other young ones are young ones, and Laura's young as well. So 3 young players have come in, and again, we have to make sure we handle them in the right way, get their development right, just so that they can be the best versions of themselves. So it's hard to say whether we did the best business. I think it's always hard to know at the moment whether it's right or wrong. What I do know is that January's starting to become really, really important. Whereas previously no one was really doing any business. It's starting to become more and more active in the women's game.
Just on Laura then, I mean, she's obviously someone you've had your eye on for a while. In an ideal world, would you probably look to, have maybe made the move, given her more time at Villa to play and develop, or was it, because obviously with Jill being out, this was the reason why you did it now, I suppose, is what I'm asking. Yeah,
of course, but also I think if you wait and allow someone to continue to develop at another club, then there's a fair chance you might not get her. So, further down the line, 6 months further down the line, or 3 or 4 months as it stands, I'm sure there would have been many suitors, which there probably already were for Laura. So I think it's trying to maximise that opportunity, bring her in at the right point, and whilst I understand it's so hard to drop one person into an environment and expect them to hit the ground running. With Jill, she really did that. But of course, we had a good pre-season with a good plan for her, a little bit more time to familiarise herself with the group and the players. And yeah, but let's see how Laura does. I mean, she trained with us today and she was good. Probably got one of the best welcomes ever, I think, when we announced it in the auditorium with the group. I thought the group were great, and that's one of the key things, I think, when players come to this environment, is that this group of players we have are really good, are really caring, and they try and help, particularly young players.
On the match then this weekend, what challenge do you expect from Leicester City?
Yeah, tough one. I think they've certainly, back end of last season when Willie took over, they've become a different type of proposition. They're very aggressive in what they do. It doesn't always work for them, but I think that they've realised that this is the way for them to go. Is to kind of be as aggressive as they possibly can, is to try and impose themselves on opposition teams. And like I say, sometimes it works and sometimes it can create issues because it's so difficult to take care of everything in the game. You kind of want to play in one particular way. It's obviously going to leave you vulnerable elsewhere. So yeah, we're expecting a tough challenge. I think we've had the game at the King Power was that game in terms of very aggressive, very compact in player-for-player scenarios, left quite a bit of space in behind, which we should have exploited better, which we did on occasion, but we should have exploited better, and we came away with a win, which could have been more. We know we have to be at our best, but we've been playing pretty well, I think. Been some really good performances, some good results. We're back home in the Joy Stadium, which is good, before we embark on 3 different competitions in the likes of 10 days. So looking forward to the challenge ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi Gareth, are you okay? Just wondering, when you mentioned that Laura got a really good reception, just wondering what that involved. Is that just in terms of certain players welcoming her, or just overall?
Makes it sound bad now that maybe Jill didn't get the same. No, I think it's more because she's really close with Ruby, Chiara from that England setup. Maybe Kirsten was missing when Jill was announced. So, I just, of course, I think it was just a really high level of applause and a bit of wooing as well, which is like, I was like, wow, it's just a really popular player, you know. So, and that's great when a player has that. It feels really special that they feel really welcome. And you know, of course, for her today, there would have been nerves. There's no doubt about that. So, you know, we try and normalise it as much as we possibly can and don't overload her with too much information. Obviously, she is eligible for the weekend, and then obviously not the 2 games after that. So, yeah, of course, it's a good period for her to come in, good for her to understand and work in the way that we do. And like I say, looking forward to seeing how she progresses.
And just generally as well, how is the squad looking ahead of this weekend?
Yeah, good. I think we only have one issue with Steph, who took a block shot and a turn of the ankle. So we're just waiting for the finalisation of the scan reports just to see how extensive that is. But yeah, which is a shame for Steph, because she's really worked hard and really trained incredibly well and has been a top leader regardless of her playing time. She's been so strong in those moments, and you know, all of the guys you have to give them great credit, but Steph especially. You know, it's difficult being the skipper. I mean, I know we have the 5 captains, but I think Steph obviously has been a leader for a long time, and that can weigh heavy sometimes, and she does it so well. And she'll be obviously disappointed. I just managed to catch up with her 5-10 minutes ago, and same as normal, she's putting herself second to the group. She's been great in that space, so hopefully it's not going to leave her out for too long.
Thanks, Gareth. Good luck Sunday.
Cheers, George.
We'll go to Zoom now. Start with Sophie.
Hi Gareth, good
Hi.
to see you. Just to ask you a bit more about Laura, because I think I've seen her play all across the attacking midfield, I guess, in her young career so far, both at England and Aston Villa. So how do you kind of see her fitting in to Manchester City, especially since she has some really good defensive qualities as well?
Yeah, I think that we see her as playing in those attacking midfield positions for us. Of course, we have certain players, and it's probably more when you work with them, you find out that actually they could probably play higher up the pitch as well. So players like Jess Park, Mary Fowler can do that. There's no doubt they can play in the wide positions, they can play at striker, they can play in the attacking midfield positions. But yeah, one of the things that really drew me to Laura is the fact that she's so brave in wanting the ball all of the time. I think that she doesn't hide at all, and for a young player to have that quality, I think is great, because you're not always going to have the best of actions, you're not always going to have the best game where you know you're not necessarily on the ball so much. But what we saw from her a lot was her willingness to receive the ball all of the time, and yeah, physically as well, for someone who's not, you know, probably the physical profile of say Jill. She takes the knocks, she runs really well, she's defensively good as well, always active, got high levels of athleticism. So yeah, just really looking forward to working with her, and vice versa, I'm sure, because she wants to get to know us and the way we play, and she saw this as the next step in her development.
Brilliant. And I guess it's also, I know she's very, very young, but the fact that she has 50 appearances for Aston Villa, she comes with a lot of experience, WSL experience in her legs, so that must really help you when you're thinking about sending her.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Well, we'll have no hesitation, you know, whether she hits the ground running or not. You know, it's a process that we go through, and sometimes it's a steady one and an even kind of uprising, and other times it can be a little bit slower. We've seen that with various players who've really took off quickly, and others and not so long. So it's fine. We'll manage her in the right way, and yeah, of course, she's got some really good competition in those areas. I think you know, you've got different types of midfielders who can play in those positions. Like we said previously, I think Laura Coombs is a great example for Laura to look at. You know, you've got someone who's at the beginning of their England career, and you've got someone who's now performing at the top level for England, who's probably really pushed on in the last couple of seasons. Laura Coombs, where she's it's getting so confusing now with all these Lauras. I need some more nicknames. But yeah, Laura Coombs is a great example for Laura to just see that hard work, showing your quality, being really supported well, can have its benefits.
Brilliant, thank you. And finally, just one question about Leicester. I know when you played them at the King Power, Willie Kirk described it, their system as kind of the high risk, high reward. And maybe it was a surprise to a few people, but you did deal with it pretty well. Are you kind of expecting the same from them at the weekend?
Who knows? I mean, we'd be prepared, the players, for whatever Leicester do, whether they play back 5, back 4, back 3. Of course, like I said previously, that it's very, very difficult to control all of the spaces. So whether they leave them in front or whether they leave them behind, it's hard continuously over the period of 95 minutes to do that. But yeah, I don't see any reason why they wouldn't, because I think it's brought them a decent level of success. Of course, I think Willie's correct in what he's saying in the high risk, high reward. But that's what we're anticipating. I think, they will try and make it difficult, and we need to exploit it where we can.
Brilliant, thanks so much. Good luck on Sunday.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sophie. We'll go to Dan next.
Hey Gareth, hope you're well.
Hi Dan.
We've had lots of questions on Laura, so I was just going to go back to Tara and Poppy. Obviously, you said they're really young players. They're in the Super League environment for the first time. So, how do you see their kind of careers at City going over the next 2 years, 2 or 3 years in terms of their development and, pushing them towards being able to play in the first team?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to know that. I think it's a little bit crystal ball time, but I mean, Tara has arrived with a slight injury, so we might not see her for the next period. But again, it's a talented player. I think it's an aggressive player who likes to play on the front foot. He's got good qualities, and Poppy very similar. Aggressive player at the front end of the pitch, and of course, these guys are stepping up to like a really professional level now. So I think that in itself we saw with Kiara last season. That was her first season as a professional, and just having that experience, whether you play or don't play, can be a big step in itself. So yeah, I think we'll take care of them in the right way. We'll manage their development in the best way that we see it. But those plans might look slightly different. They're here for a long period now. We've secured them for a long time, and whether that is they stay with us for a significant period, we look at the summer and see whether we need to manage their game time with a possible loan. Sometimes things can change really rapidly. We've seen that with other players or other young players that we brought in, the likes of Ruby Mace, where the plan has slightly changed due to probably how well she's done. So, yeah, let's see. But they're both really good girls to work with. They're probably going to join us. They come and watch the game of the weekend, and then they join us for first training sessions. Only Poppy, obviously, because Tara's got this injury. So they'll start with us on Monday as professionals, and yeah, it's an exciting time for them. But similar to what we said about Laura, we need to support them in the right way, make sure that they understand the expectations of what we do. And because it's going to be different, really, really different. The training's going to be different. Probably the way that they're looked after is going to be different. Maybe nutrition, maybe gym sessions, all of those things. So we need to give them adaptation time for sure. And like I said previously, some take a little bit longer to settle, some take less time and set off really quickly.
Just in terms of Laura, she obviously comes into a City team who, you can score goals from anywhere, but Laura's maybe not known for goal scoring to date. So do you kind of see that as a big area that you can work on with her in the coming weeks?
You're calling her Lara, that might help. Let's go Lara. Lara instead of Laura. Lara. That's your northern accent.
That's
sorry.
That's my accent, Gareth.
Sorry, Dan. Laura, yeah. I think, yeah, of course. I think when you play in those positions, of course, the demands are there that we need to create and we need to score. There's no doubt. And the team have been really squeezing high numbers this season so far. And of course, we know and we feel that Laura is capable of being in those positions. And again, we have players who probably contribute a little bit more than others. I think Jill set high standards, but we knew that there was a player who gets into a lot of really good positions to score goals. And of course, I think we see that in Laura for sure. But like I say, it takes time, and let's see how it goes.